It's been a long time that I haven't made any video or talk about specifically and only reading. This morning and a little bit, I think last night, I had a calling to do a bit of those videos again that I did. But I have the word of do that, but with really no specific expectations on the outcome because it's an enjoyment for me. So really to share that. Now that I'm here filming, suddenly the sun is piercing through the clouds. We're gonna make it work like this. Today, like I said, it's gonna be the FIREBIRD trilogy of Claudia Gray. The first book is 10,000 Skies Above You. The second, 1,000 Pieces of You. And the last one, A Million Worlds with You. It is so on point with nowadays, with the spiritual awakening, with the awakening of the multiverse, of multi-dimension existing at the same time, simultaneously, with all, I don't know, an infinite number of possibilities of us existing and doing different things. It is actually the right time to go back to read and to re-talk about it. It's been quite some time, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years, over 10 years that I read the trilogy, or maybe less. It always takes time for me to reread the book of favorites. As long as I can remember the story, I do not want to pick up the book again because there is not going to be any excitement, any thrill of, turning the page. But as long as I remember pretty much everything, I'm not interested at going back into reading a book. So it can take quite some time for me to go back. Please help me reach the 222, the magical number of subscribers, 222, to unlock a new level of visibility. No, but seriously, if you can click the subscribe to remember and to do it, that would be lovely. And since this is a reread, I'm going to put in the description the first video of the book of my reading, 10,000 Skies Above You. We are following Margaret. She is close to 18 years old, I think, or 17 or 16. Anyway, somewhere in this area. The story takes place in San Francisco. And she has a sister, Josie, who is living in San Diego. She has parents, a mother, a father. Both are scientists. They have two great students, Paul and Theo, who are pretty much all the time living at their house. They are coming with the technology of creating like an amulet in the form or the shape of a FIREBIRD. Remember, I said this is the FIREBIRD trilogy. They can reach different dimensions. So go into a different earth for anyone who is wearing a FIREBIRD on around their neck. They will reach a different dimension, but a dimension where another of their themselves exist. If they are dead, they cannot get into that dimension. They need another one of them to get inside them. You're following? When the story begins, we learn it's right away, since the first page. At the first page, her father, Margaret Henry, got killed. Margaret and one of the great students, Theo, has decided to use the FIREBIRD for the first time. It hasn't been really used before. And to go after the second great student, Paul, but to chase him. He seems to be the one who has killed her father. And they want to go after him because he has stolen the other FIREBIRDs, all of the data, and because to get revenge, because they are so much into their emotions and into their grief. The great students are loving the parents just as much as the daughter. So there is this big wondering of why Paul had killed the father? What's the reason? Why trying to destroy or to steal the data, the science research, and why all of this is happening? I try to explain as best as I can. But just come with me. I wear the Firebird, and I am going to jump into a different dimension where another me exists. So when I get inside that of me that is on the rooftop and making a video, it's like I am taking over her body. So I can move things, I can drink, I can eat, I can think. And the other Nathalie, the other me, the one who is living in the dimension and who is making the video on the rooftop, it's like as if she's becoming dormant, like in the background. Her mind is still there. She is conscious about what the other me is doing and is saying, but she just cannot take any action. She cannot control her own body. She's not the one in charge. So to identify someone who is from a different dimension, who is traveling, if they are wearing this Firebird around the neck, this is the way that they're going to identify, or this is someone who is traveling from a different dimension. Every time that Margaret, or because we are essentially following her, that she's getting into a new dimension, that into a new self, sorry, I should say. She has no idea what is the life of that other Margaret. Where is she living? What kind of world is it? What kind of technology is it? What is really happening? So she has to look around, do some research. If there is any kind of database like internet, or else maybe I should have said that there might be some spoiler. I said that Theo and Margaret are jumping right away to chase Paul, who is suspected to have killed her father, Henry. And the more that they are jumping into different dimensions, the more that they are facing, mostly her, that she's facing him, Paul. And this is one of the two from the love triangle happening, because you could have guessed it. Theo is the second one, because at the beginning she really wants to kill him out of revenge, but at the same time it's not really herself, and she can forgive him to kill her father, and yet but that must be an explanation, so I want to know why. It is very interesting to follow along. So like I said, it's a reread, but it's funny because I really wasn't remembering why actually he killed and the father, and why he took the data with him. I didn't remember that, so that was a good thing. And I would say that pretty much all the time that I was going along the story about figuring out really what happened. Is the father still alive? Spoiler alert, he's not dead. Who is really the bad guy in that story, and why this is all happening? So it's jumping through different dimension, different worlds. Since it's a reread, it was interesting. At some points I was really not tough questioning, but I was like, I can see why I loved the story the first time, but it felt like a bit not as much love the second time around, because I could see so much the temper of the teen, almost young adult, by the age, reacting and acting foolishly. This is something that can be a bit irritating for me. So if it had been the first time that I read the books, I clearly didn't remember that. That's why I was like, maybe the first time that I read, I think I definitely gave it 5 stars, but maybe it was even a 6 stars. But now I would say it's probably more 4.5 or 4.7. Not necessarily because I got older, because time passed. But I don't know, maybe because there is way more insights and awareness, for me anyway, now today about the true existence, of all those different dimension existing simultaneously at the same time, all our different selves. So it's like you have an information, a fiction one, and suddenly you kind of discover or uncover or remember that, well, actually it is sort of, because it's really not like Claudia Gray story and from her imagination, but it's pretty close to what it could be. And as an author myself, it's like telling a lie. The better the lie, or the bigger and the better the lie, you have to stay very close to some truth. Otherwise, it's really not going to hold. It's not going to stand. You're going to change some elements of the story, some truth, maybe that you do not want to reveal because it could be too much to handle, to understand, to really follow along. Honestly, I don't know for Claudia Gray behind the creation of the FIREBIRD series, from what kind of knowledge she took it, and maybe if she left something aside, like for the my trilogy, The Watchers, there's quite a few things that I left aside purposefully because this is something that I couldn't say, that I wasn't allowed to say, to mention. So with the first, the 10,000 skies above you, this is finding out, is it Paul guilty or not? What happened with her father? In the second, the 1,000 pieces of you, you start again at the first page right away. And when I said right away, I don't remember if it's like a few hours after, or maybe a day or two after that, after the end of the first one. So it's really continuity of the storyline of from what is happening. So Margaret is still jumping. We understand why, for instance, Margaret, she's the only one who is traveling with a FIREBIRD, but doesn't need what they are calling a reminder. It's like an electric shock that a traveler will send him from the amulet, the FIREBIRD, to remember who he is, the traveler. Otherwise, after a little while, after a few hours, the original self will go back to its place. Remember, it's like in the background, and without the reminders, they will forget that they are hosting another self's body and mind, and they will be stuck inside the body without their reminder. So Margaret, she doesn't experience that since the first book, and no matter how long she stays, she is always in control and she always remembers everything. How come? What makes that of a difference? What makes that happen? So you understand that it was purposefully made by the main villain, I would say, of the story, named Wyatt Conley. And that guy is sort of a super young Elon Musk inspired guy. For the technology and for the money, he is like a billionaire. He is funding her parents and the research for obviously a nefarious reason. You start to uncover more of the truth behind his intention by going into more different multiverse. You understand that Paul, with whom she has the most feelings for, his soul has been splintered by the villain and splintered inside other of himself, into other worlds, to force Margaret to sabotage the FIREBIRD work that of her parents from other dimensions, because he wants to have the control over all of the world's dimensions. So you You have the adventure about jumping from one world into another one, and from is she gonna be able to get uh the fourth of the soul of Paul back and to put everything together like a puzzle, but then is he gonna be like himself completely, or is it gonna be like scarred? His soul is going to be scarred. It's not going to be the same. So you have some wondering about that. There is always a bit of discovering other worlds, how they are working and functioning. She never stayed very long into a world. You really see the love story between the two, between her and between Paul, and about possibly fate, that world after world, they are meant to be together. Everyone is meant to stay together. They are all evolving. They are always kind of scientists and working together, or they have a strong friendship. And in some worlds, instead of being in love and being with Paul, she's more with Theo. So Claudia Gray is making a bit like in every love triangle and young adult, the jealousy of the third one who wished that he could have been a shot, but he didn't have, and blah, blah, blah. By the end of Thousand Pieces of You, you really understand, you really get the true purpose of the main villains. There are two other people that are part of that crazy, insane conspiracy. And why, actually? Because there is not just controlling all of the dimension and doing whatever they want and owning the travel through dimension. There is a really devious and nefarious reason, an insane reason of why really all of this is happening. For the third one, which is the Million Worlds with You, she may be the hero of the story, but she is as well the villain of the story. Well, I would say her, but not as her, the original that we are following for the first, since the first book, but from another dimension, another Margaret. I really love that from Claudia Gray, the author, that to distinguish that specific Margaret, she is using, or she's giving her the pet name of Wicked, which is true. She's wicked, but she's very devious and really like, yeah, crazy, insane. It was a good way throughout all of the stories and all of them, but through following Margaret and seeing other Theos and other Pauls and other of her father and mothers and other of her sisters and even herself, and she's going to say it along the story, that they are fundamentally always the same one. She is always the same Margaret, but at the same time, she is the wicked one as well. Or she is that one, or she is this one. This is a perfect demonstration for with the spirituality and with the awakening. When you are healing yourself from traumas and from what happened, you are healing most of the time the pain. So being, I don't like to say it because it's not a victim, because it happened for you for a reason. But this is the part that the majority is concentrated on, to heal what happened. And sadly, you are forgetting that it matters maybe even more to go back into yourselves that have been the persecutor, where you have been that nefarious villain one, because we are all experiencing being all of the good, all of the beautiful, all of the nice, but as well as all of the dark and all of the mean one. And all of them are us. We are all capable of goodness, and we are all capable of the most darkest possible selves. And this is something that you can see and that Claudia Gray is exploring throughout the story. It's a really nice way to invite that thought about we are all of the aspect and we have to welcome them, but we have to understand how the wicked, the nefarious, the devious one can exist. And it's not because it's a fluke, but beyond understanding and accepting that it's here, it's really to unite all of them. And this is something that you see as well in the story, that all of the Margarets are getting united to face their own survival and to prevent their worlds to be destroyed and their existence to be erased as if they never have ever existed. At the surface, it seems to be very light and very fiction. Oh, it's a fiction, it's a story, but it can be a really nice way to go through your own awakening journey. I would say that it really holds a time, the Firebird trilogy. It's definitely a style of imaginations, of creating stories, and of writing that I really do enjoy, and I will go back. So I invite you to go check out this Firebird series. It's not because it's a young adult that it's like, it's not for me. It really goes beyond this, and it's really reachable for anyone. And like I said, it's really going to open your mind.